rather than saying 10 days, maybe it'd be like in 3 to 4 days you'll have done this, in 5 to 6 days you'll have this done, and within like maybe you say 14 days, you have 2 weeks, so 2 Saturdays from now, and like kind of like more step by step rather than just being like, all right, have at it, and yeah, it is. Maybe just sort of a little more guidance.
And some working groups right now will be able to do it much faster because there's just not that much going on. But then some, it will take the whole time because they're larger. Like operations is so small. We already have our workbook. We'll just have to amend that little workbook. We can be done in like 3 days. So I mean, it really just depends on the group. Each group will do their own. But do you feel good with up to 14 days? Yeah. Yes.
Okay, is there any other friendly amendments?
I have a clarifying question about what you just said. 14 days is the maximum, but we can be done before then. It doesn't have to be 14 days.
Up to 14.
Okay.
Up to 14.
Okay, good.
You can be done in 2 days if you want with the restructuring if you really want to get at it, but up to.
And then at the end of the 14 days is when we would switch the GA to a spokes meeting. I mean, it would change structure.
It would be our new 4-spoke model. It would be instead of what we do now. So at the end of the 14 days, we would have our trial GA, and then we'll continue to have that until it gets nice and solid.
So say if maybe the working group is already ready and made the transition, can they still come to the GA with their spokesperson if they already have it? And just kind of set the example maybe?
I think that each working group, as they finish doing this, they should just come to the facilitators and say, we're ready to report in as one unified working group tonight. That's right.
Because I think that like seeing somebody else's like book or like how did you guys vote in your spokesperson or whatever, because we haven't determined how any of that's going to happen, sharing that.
And like I said, the facilitators already have a workbook, the process workbook. We'll add something to it, and ours will be the most the easiest to sort of put together, adding this structure to that. So I think we can be done probably the quickest of all the groups, but then we could sort of lend our support to the other groups to help.
Can each working group decide how they vote in a person?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's not something...
It doesn't even have to be a vote.
Nope. It could just
It's
be
completely up to the working group of how the spokesperson and the point person gets selected.
Okay.
each individual working group will decide that.
Okay.
Are there more people on stack? No. Alright, any other friendly amendments? Alright, can we restate again, sorry, with the amendments?
So the amendments are time period after the 4 work group reportings for missed information, hard copies of all group minutes on camp, 14 days to implement instead of 10.
What about the step-by-step thing that Josh said? Like making it step-by-step within 14 days? Like you need so long to have maybe like a meeting time and then like I don't know what order they should happen in or not. But.
Well, I guess we can set that up.
Or I mean that could just fall under structure helping
Yeah.
the transition.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
I can't remember what all the amendments were.
But
That's the last one. I said structure
that's the
helping.
last one.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. I think that even after adding the amendments, that we should focus more on restating the proposal of what you're doing, not exactly how with all that details, just so you can just get it out there and vote.
Okay, so the proposal is we're creating working groups that have to be ratified into existence by the General Assembly. We're starting out with 4 that are us condensing all of the existing working groups
Could you state those?
Yeah, they are public relations, operations, action, and camp logistics. Working groups have the authority to govern themselves. They have the authority to make a certain amount of decisions themselves without consulting the General Assembly based on their mission statement, which is ratified by the General Assembly. They have a point person and a spokesperson, both of whom are selected by the work groups.
Just a question, how large is a work group?
We also talked about putting that in here. We also talked about a system for the General Assembly to kind of shelve a working group. This proposal doesn't cover the scope of that question. And again, I'm more than willing to work on language for a further proposal that contains that.
Are you talking about a committee or an actual spoke?
A working group.
Well, because spokes now, right now, some of our working groups are one person.
Right, and that.
None of them would be that. I mean, because everything's lumped under one. So, I mean, any new group would have to have a number, and we could. And once that comes up that we need a new spoke, and maybe we can bring that up then.
1%.
Love the 1%.
So are we ready to vote?
Alright, do we feel...
This is a question, it's not really, you're calling one of the spokes Camp Logistics, which to me feels limiting. So I've just a feeling, I figure that Camp Logistics can rename their spoke.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But
These
for an
are-
understand,
Yeah.
but
Names are not really that.
Camp Logistics and Camp Meeting renamed themselves Occupiers, which is a broader concept of what that group is. And that's what Wall Street calls the core group of people that are holding camp. So I'm
you
more
could
comfortable
rename-
using that language.
Where does facilitators fit under?
Huh?
Where does facilitators fit?
Operations.
Okay, so the proposal was stated clearly. Does anyone have any more questions about it?
Amendments.
Concerns? You all understand pretty well? No, it's a lot. It's a lot.
And there will be more to come, too. Alright, so Josh is doing a head count. He said maybe 23.
Yep, 23.
Alright.
Then again, voting, this is yes, this is I'm not, don't count me, no, block, that's a big deal. Only block if you feel like this is gonna affect everybody in a bad way. That's it. Okay, so,
I guess we start with blocks, right? Any
yeah,
blocks?
Any blocks? Okay. Any sideways thumbs? Not let me count it.
I think 2 out. 3.
Okay,
Four. Need 11.
okay, and nose?
And nose.
Is that a no? Okay. Alright, so we have 2 no's, 3 not counting, someone gonna pass.
I think we had 3 not counting and our head count was 23, so we have 20 people with 2 no's and that doesn't pass, right?
You'd have to have 100%.
I only have 20 total votes. 3 abstaining, 15 yeses, 2
You'd
no's,
have to have
20.
I didn't do that,
Oh, okay, so we have another stand tonight.
So now
So it doesn't pass.
with facilitate, sorry to just jump.
Go
The
ahead.
people who
Sorry.
said no have to say why and
That's only for a block. We don't have to
You
say
don't have
why.
to, but it's blocked, so...
No.
block.
But you
No.
should,
Because
like,
we
for the
have-
sake of the group.
I'll speak to me, but a vote is a vote. You don't have to explain it. Anyway.
Yeah, but if you want the group-
I wanna go and work. I wanna work with the structure group. and so that's why I voted no. I want to actually sit in on the meetings. I actually never, and maybe it was posted on Facebook. I never saw it on Facebook. So, what I heard today, there's still some concerns that I have that I didn't feel were fully addressed. And so I would like to sit down with the working group and at least, you know,
You want to join the working group?
more one-on-one. Well, yeah,
Okay.
if you'll have me.
Can you share with the rest of us what the concerns are?
Yeah, just briefly if you could.
Some of the stuff that I already mentioned, I still felt wasn't fully addressed properly. I think that what's been done is amazing, and I think that it's almost there. Just for me personally, I think there's a couple things that can be done that will have what they've created happen, but in a more efficient, less complicated manner.
Can you give like one clear example of something that needs to change?
In terms of organizing structure, it would be essentially, and I'm thinking of a working group that we've had that was one person who organized it very well, and now it's essentially just a chart that people just need to plug their names into. It's very little work that needs to be done, and it was done by one individual who spearheaded that and did a fantastic job. And I think that can be replicated in other areas as well. That's just something that I want to have, and I didn't want to take the whole General Assembly's night to have to deal with that. So I feel that's something that structure can figure rather quickly. And so I just did that in terms of.
Can that thing not be added as a friendly amendment? Like, we just can't now.
It's a longer discussion. It's a longer discussion.
Didn't we say that we were voting on what was already, or what was in the proposal, and not necessarily what needs to be added to the proposal? I'm just wondering. I don't know for
we
sure.
were, but again, if people have ethical issues, they feel that it is not ready and it's not been hashed out enough, that's their own prerogative. In my opinion. Brian, do you have something? Brian?
Okay. Yeah, well, I was just, I'm kind of going back on some of what I've experienced in my experiences, and I have a recommendation for the process, if that's okay. Basically what I'm recommending is, since we already voted, and according to set group procedure, this did not pass. I'm correct, right? Okay, so what I propose then is that this be revisited at another meeting, and that we close pretty soon and revisited perhaps the group we voted out as well. Next General Assembly.
Alright, I agree, but as a facilitator, I just want to step in and say, if you voted no, if you'd like to speak, I'd like to do that before we end the meeting. If you would like to say why.
I'm not completely comfortable giving a yes, because I feel like this is sort of kind of half-assed and the way it's thought out. I'd rather have a full proposal and everybody be on the same page. Also, I'm not comfortable with the fact that we're getting more work when there are still not enough people. And as the days get colder and as the nights get longer, more people are going to end up leaving. And that's going to be more work for everybody else. I had something else I wanted to say.
Okay, so it was voted no for tonight, but should it be proposed again later? Like maybe recently work.
Michelle, ours had their hands up on that. No, you did. No? Good.
We're concerned about there being too much work, but if we revisit this at another General Assembly and we have to explain through the whole proposal again, that will take another 2 hours. I don't know the solution for that. I'm just saying, like, if we're concerned about the work, doing it again, it's not going to make any sense. It's just going to make it 15 days, and it's going to be 16 days, and we're discussing all these nitty-gritty things. We are
David, you have experience with all.
Just maybe a quick suggestion with that in mind, because I think that's a very valid point. Would it be possible for the group that's working on this to make it available online, and then to tell people at a specific General Assembly that it's available online, you can review it in advance of the meeting, and that way you can maybe, you're still going to have to run through it in the meeting to some extent, but could maybe cut out some of the, could make it a shorter process to introduce, because there'd be that previous familiarity with it.
Language that I would be more comfortable, because I'm on the fence, but I kind of see this as a draft, but you're not saying that it's a draft. I'm hoping that maybe the no votes would consider voting yes for this being a draft that will be revisited and has to be accepted with a positive vote at the end of that. The people that want to do the work are going to do the work. People that want to make the structure do the structure. If it's 15 days, but that it has to be accepted at General Assembly before it stays enacted, and that the final proposal is ready to be voted on at that 15-day point. Where right now there's a lot of language that's not in there.
Can I ask a question about what you said? Do you mean those of us who agree with it start moving forward with it, and then if it doesn't pass in the future, then...
It was all for naught.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm not even going to speak to it, so just keep going.
I would just say, like what David said, like making it available online and also at a GD, maybe we can print out a bunch of copies so we can talk about it before, and then that way, I couldn't hear you so well, so maybe you already said that, but...
Well, yeah, that way people could study it a little bit, get a better sense of what it is.
And then that way, at the GA, we don't have to, like, Ben doesn't have to go into such great detail again.
And like I said, this is the third, I went to 3 general discussions with this.
Yeah.
This is the 4th time that the whole group, and some people are in, some people are out. This is the 4th time that it's been brought up at a large thing. We've gone through it, we've made amendments, and then there's more amendments that have come today. I feel like, well, that's all I'm gonna say.
But maybe, like we said, in the interest of like tomorrow, if we bring it to the table again, maybe we can bring it to the table and it will pass if we say it's a work in progress. And at the end of the 14 days, just like the working groups have to be existent and functional, the proposal for how the spokes meeting will happen and how the whole structure will have to be finalized at the end of 14 days, that everything until then worked out. I don't think the concerns
Go ask her if she makes a bill.
are enough to block the whole thing.
I think that, for the purposes of tonight, this proposal did not pass. But we had the same issue last week, and the proposal was kind of not completely swapped and rewritten, but just with some provisions came back to the General Assembly the very next day. And I feel like if the structure group feels strongly that this will be something that benefits the group, then you can come back tomorrow with those provisions and make it kind of something that might be readdressed going forward after this 2-week trial period or 2-week restructuring period. I think that won't take too much work of, putting the proposal on the table again for rewrites. I voted yes on this, but that's only because I understand the spirit of the proposal. But I did have some concerns just with that's not really written in yet, and having kind of this back and forth with the structure group being like, well, we deliberately left that out or didn't put that, So I was concerned about it, but I think that I understand the spirit of it, so I would vote yes today, and I would vote yes tomorrow. But I think that that's what should happen. Tonight, we're not going to vote again, right? Nope. Didn't pass.
Can we close stack once everyone who's had their hands raised? Just because I think it's getting kind of late. I don't know. We could do a vibe check on that if you want.
I had Jody and Brian, and then I didn't see anybody else. So you want Jody and Brian, and then you guys got the last word?
I take my hand back down.
want to take your hand back?
I only had a recommendation is we have a special general discussion on this. So I know it's been brought up like 3 times already, but a special general discussion specifically to continue this conversation so that it happens before general assembly.
I honestly feel like a lot of my concerns can be answered by Wilson and Ben just with the 3 of us. So that's just another issue why I voted no. I think I'm just confused and that was part of it. It was getting late and I'm tired, and so I voted no because I needed to vote no.
So it's just not done yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I really feel like something that long, I abstained from the vote, and something that long I really feel like I needed to at least have read before the meeting or have a printout in front of me.
And I feel like this is the opposite of the devil's in the details. I feel like those details can be worked out within working groups. I feel like the devil is not in the details in this. The devil is in the larger picture of the restructuring. I feel like everybody gets wrapped up in these really tiny little weird things that can be amended in 10 seconds. I feel like the whole structure thing, the big picture is what we're talking about. It's just really difficult to make a big picture without all those small little things. I feel like people get wrapped up in those really tiny things and forget what we're actually saying, which is very simple. But I feel like everybody's like, but what about this little tiny itty bitty thing? I feel like that's not really what the proposal is about. That's why it takes a half an hour and it's 6 pages long. The longer you talk about it, I think the longer you're going to talk about it, because I see people's attention after 10 minutes are going away. I feel like the structure makes sense. The little tiny things, and I said it was verbally finished, it just had to be written down. But that's just me.
Any more last words? All right. Is it over? Thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks,
Sticking
guys.
through. Thank you.
Hey, how are you?
It was like a small point. I just wanted to be like test this. Okay, was that the one about